What's going on, guys? Alex here, and today we're going to be giving you a real talk about YouTube and whether or not you should start a channel. But oh man, are you sure you guys are ready for this? I don't know, this one might be a little bit brutal for you, but let's go ahead and just dive right in. So for those of you who may want to know a little bit more about me and where I started, I actually have another YouTube channel, which is Cimo with 8 O's. It's always 8 O's, don't forget it. And when it's come to that channel, I've built that up over the past 6 years or so, but I only did that for about 3 or 4 years full time. So I'd like to say it's about 3 to 4 years old because I'd say a majority of the growth came from when I took the channel full time. Links in the description if you guys want to check it out. It's about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game of all things, but everyone has their niche. And so when it's come to creating a channel and cultivating a community over the past several years, I've really learned a lot about that, and with this new channel's focus on giving you guys as much information as possible so that you guys can grow your own channels, that's what I'm going to be giving you guys today. I think the first thing you guys need to realize is that YouTube is not by any means for the faint of heart. YouTube is relentless, and if you have dreams of achieving full-time YouTube status, then you have a lot of work ahead of you. I want you guys to think about something. Every minute that passes by, over 500 hours of YouTube content gets uploaded to the platform. Every minute. That is absurd, and that number is increasing exponentially as time goes on. And so when you're building a channel, you have to realize that you're competing with all of these other creators who are looking to get your eyes on their videos, whether they upload at the same rate as you, more than you, less than you, doesn't matter. People are doing everything they can to get more eyeballs on their videos because that's ultimately how they're going to grow their following, their channel, and see more success. And so it's really sink or swim. Like, if you don't have the self-discipline to be able to upload consistently and frequently enough that you're able to get your content in front of your audience, then people are going to leave you behind very quickly. You're going to fall into irrelevance, and people are going to flock to someone who is going to give them the content that they desire. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be posting every single day or even multiple times a day for that matter. There is such a thing as channel fatigue, and if you were to upload 10 videos in a day, people aren't going to be able to commit that much time to watching your videos because it's just video overload and people aren't going to take it. Hell, some channels only upload like once or twice a month, and they still see tons of success because they've committed to a mindset of quality over quantity, and they'll spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to polish their videos to ensure that they are putting their best product forward, and their followings are very loyal as a result of that. Maybe it's long form episodic content, like maybe it's like a short film, or maybe it's, you know, some sort of like episodic content of something that we've never really seen in sort of like a TV show type of style. I think all these types of creative ideas are possible. It really just depends on how well you can execute them. And I've seen time and time again of people stumble into success and have one of their videos become viral or semi-viral, but then they really can't capture that lightning in a bottle again because they didn't pinpoint exactly what it was that made that video so unique or so special. And as a result of that, they think it's attributed to something else. You know, maybe it's coming from a place of ego and they think it's purely just them and not something about the content itself that was super valuable. And then people just tend to tailor off and they are just struggling to chase that success, and they just fall by the wayside. And so this is a great segue into my second point, which is YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint. So many people in today's generation are looking for short-term, fast cash, get-rich-quick scheme type of success, and that's not the mentality you can have when you're going into YouTube. Can you see some short-term success from YouTube? Absolutely, but if you're looking to really see the true potential and the true value of utilizing YouTube as a platform, it's all about the long game. There are numerous channels that fall into the trap of short-term success that once they start to see they're doing well, they might start getting sponsor interest, and so they'll take on all these advertisers and sponsors, and then what ultimately happens is that it muddles down the rest of their content and it starts becoming subpar quality, and their audiences start to leave in a mass exodus because their person is no longer true to themselves and no longer true to their content, and people can smell that from a mile away, and that's not what people are looking for. Now, it's definitely a balancing act, right? Because for anyone who's looking to do YouTube full time, one of the biggest struggles is having to pay your monthly bills while continuing to do what you love. But in the early stages of growth, it can be very difficult to do that solely based off of YouTube's ad revenue. And so when sponsors and advertisers come along and make their way into your inbox and they offer to dangle a pretty decent amount of money in your face just for some exposure, it can seem very tempting from the creator side of things to want to take that in the short term because you're not thinking if this is going to become a, 500,000 million subscriber channel. You're just looking to pay the bills in that moment, and continue doing what you love. But here's the thing, and this is so important because I personally know this from experience. If you are committed to the long-term growth of your YouTube channel and you want to see success in the long term and maybe do this potentially for the rest of your life, if you are committed to solving that puzzle or figuring out what's going to make YouTube work best for you, as long as you're playing the long game, you are going to see that success whether or not you get those sponsor or advertiser interests. And that's one of the things I love best about YouTube. It's like playing one gigantic game of three-dimensional chess, and with everything given in front of you, you're trying to figure out what short-term moves are the best to also set you up for long-term success, but then the game can also change at any moment, right? You could take the game and flip it over on its head, gravity could reverse, that's when, we get adpocalypses or things that are seemingly out of our control, but those are all things that you learn about over time and through experience to help you weather the storm. I personally believe that too many individuals are selling themselves short and trying to cash in while they can, when they could be seeing exponentially more success if they just bide their time, play the game how it needs to be played, adjust as necessary, and then that's what is going to make them. And that's what leads into my next point. YouTube is probably the most challenging yet the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. It's kind of interesting how when you're going through life growing up and there's all these different milestones and benchmarks for you to achieve, right? Maybe it's graduating high school or graduating university or getting your first job straight out of college or, whatever it may be. We have these arbitrary benchmarks that really don't mean anything, and most of the time, as long as you're just kind of going along, living life, doing what you're supposed to, then you're going to achieve those benchmarks at some point or another. But YouTube is different. For the first time in my life, achieving success on YouTube was actually the first time I felt a sense of accomplishment because I actually had to work for it. There was no one telling me what to do. There was no one presenting me with a roadmap on what's correct and what wasn't. Through trial and error, you had to go through the trials and tribulations of YouTube to figure out what works and what doesn't, and if you can figure that formula out, that's how you're going to see success. And so many people just give up so early because they can't stand the failure, they can't stand the criticism, they can't stand that they're not seeing the success that they want in the short time horizon that they've given themselves, but through trial and error, you will be able to figure it out. Everyone's path is different. There's no two people on YouTube who've gotten to where they are today by pursuing the same path, and I think that's what's so incredible is that in our learning and education system as we grew up, we were most of the time taught that there's only one right answer to a solution, but YouTube is the complete opposite of that because everyone who's seen success on YouTube has done it through their own means. And so that brings us to our next point. Not everyone's going to like your content, and the quicker you drill that into your head now, the better, because if you place yourself on this pedestal of perfection where you're trying to make content for the 7 billion people that live on this planet so that every single person likes your content, then ultimately no one's gonna like your content. YouTube is so unique because you can create specifically curated content for such a small niche or even a niche of content that you're able to appeal to that specific group and give that group a voice that they may have never found previously. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to cast the widest net possible, but sometimes it's easier to go to the smaller pond because that's less room that you have to maneuver and it's easier to catch those fish. And by being able to specifically curate that content for whatever specific niche that you want to make that content about, if you want to be in a very specific area, then that means that you have so much more freedom and flexibility to be you, because ultimately that's what matters most. And so coming up on the end of the video here, I think if there's a single thing that you should take away from the video if you are thinking about starting YouTube, when it comes to your long-term success on the platform, being your authentic self is the most important thing you can do for yourself. People are going to be able to detect from a mile away whether or not you're being disingenuous with your content, and it's going to show in ways that you might not even be able to monitor. There's just something about the tangibility of that human connection that you create with your favorite content creators that they start to know you over time. They start to understand your personality. They start to know what you like and you don't like. And so when you start to deviate from your path and do something that may not necessarily be what you're in alignment with, then that's where people are really going to start to fall off. Again, take me for example. I built my following up playing the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, but I don't like the Pokemon trading card game. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There are people out there that make Pokemon trading card game content, and that's that's cool. I have no interest in it, and I don't have to go out of my way to make Pokemon card game content because it's something that doesn't interest me, and it would definitely come off to my audience as a little bit weird if all of a sudden I started posting Pokemon card game content all over my channel when that's not the expectation I've built with my audience, and they would definitely start to fall off in droves. And so it may sound silly, but it really is true to be your true authentic self, because then that's what's really going to help build that following, build that connection with your audience, and then you can share in the love of whatever it is that you're passionate about and creating your YouTube channel about overall. When it comes down to it, YouTube is just an absolutely incredible platform and is able to bring people together in ways that really we were never able to before. Maybe it's the visual medium of the platform that people can really harness and build that emotional connection, just because it's like there's other people out there that enjoy what you do and you can actually see them enjoying that as well. So maybe it just sparks something a little bit deeper than if you're reading about it or listening to something. Maybe it is, I don't know, but YouTube is truly special and it's done a lot of great things for a lot of great people. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I would really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.